Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Many Thoughts with Dr.T show reviews. And today we are reviewing the last show of the first season of On Network's Somebody's Son. So this is episode 12. So the final one, we made it, we did it. I had a great weekend. It was Jermaine's birthday weekend, so we really had a good time. We didn't have our three kids. I always have to get a disclaimer. I love my kids, but um, the time is just so sacred when it can just be y'all two again, like in the beginning times. So nobody asking for graham crackers or chicken nuggets or french fries or crying or whatever. So we got to just chill. And we just had an amazing time. We didn't even do we really didn't even do all that. We were just eating everything. And we finally got to watch Sinners, so that's out on Roku. So we watched that. You is out. We're thinking about maybe doing some of those type of shows because we like to watch those type of things together, Power and BMF stuff like that too. So which was actually switching over our guest room, which is right behind me, and making that a little podcast studio for the both of us because we're going to start a show in August around sports called Run the Clock. So if you like sports, make sure you tune in for that. So yeah, we like all those type of shows too. But anyway, we had a great time. I feel rested, relaxed, rejuvenated. All right, so let's get started. Joshua sits down with Auntie Oma to discuss the two remaining ladies. Joshua likes Chambrel, but is concerned that they never had physical chemistry. He also likes Tamaris, but is wondering if her motives are pure and if she's being extra because she knows he's a football player. And we already talked about this, y'all. Like, you're not a football player no more, and it's okay. So he was like always talking about the sacrifices that come with this life, being an athlete. And it's like, and you know what? Maybe he can play like in the Canadian Football League or the XFL or one of the other leagues. So maybe he's got a point there. But the cool thing is that Josh gets to choose, which you would hope anyway. In the end, it's not going to be up to his aunt. So then we go over to James, and James is with Miss Charlease. They sit down, same thing, and to discuss James and his options with the ladies. But before they get started, Miss Charlease shares that she met with Aylssia and felt attacked and felt that she was being painted to be a villain. And at first, James was kind of relieved that he wouldn't have to step in because she was like, "It's cool." Y'all, this is just so disappointing because I was starting to really like Miss Charlease. Like, those type of people that they do have more type A abrasive personalities, but once you get to know them a little bit better, you can see that they're really a good person, sensitive and soft on the inside. And that's what I had thought. When we first met her, I was like, dang, she does a lot. But over these 11 episodes, I feel like, what, it's coming from a good place. But I don't know, this last one kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I think she is a nice person, don't get me wrong. But I just totally don't like how she dealt with the whole situation with Aylssia. This shows a level of immaturity at her age. And then, James kept mentioning, yeah, because I know my mom, this has happened before. This happens all the time. She can go left. So it's not like there's something with Aylssia per se. It's almost like she always finds something type of thing. Like there's always a problem type of thing. If it's not, I guess the woman she deems right or she deems fit for her son, she's going to find something. Um, and so I didn't like how she was acting. I think she's just trying way too hard to control who he's with. And it's like at the end of the day, man, and I know it's scary. You have to raise your kids. You got 18 years, right? Pretty much to raise them, to download into them, the things that you want them to know, to plant good, healthy seeds in them. And then it's like once they're 18, there's really nothing you can do. I mean, you have to trust and believe that what you imparted into them in those 18 years will blossom, will sprout. You know what I'm saying? Um, and like I said, it's easy for me to say my boys are young. They're babies right now, but and I'm being transparent. I probably will struggle with this. I do enjoy not being in control. It's probably not the right word, but yeah, I can see myself struggling with this, letting them go and make their own decisions, even though I think I know best. Um, but at the end of the day, man, whenever I feel my anxiety boiling up because of a decision that somebody else is making with their life, like the sentence I always tell myself is, "That's not my life. That's not my life." So that's what's really helped me to get through. Whenever you feel like, but I told them not to do that. But see, anytime I just feel like I'm getting worked up, I'm like, you know what? I don't gotta live that life, so it don't matter. I did my part, I did my piece, and that's all I can do. So that's what I try to tell myself. And Miss Charlease, I might have to start telling herself that too, because I know this is the show. That's a part of it to insert yourself, but you kind of took it to another level. You kind of made it mean spirited almost. And so, and another thing, y'all, when I think about being a mother in law, because I have 3 sons, one of the things that concerns me, and I might have shared this with y'all, is being the mother of the on the dad side. You see, because think about it, when you were growing up, if you had your mom and your dad, what side of the family did you spend the most time with? Probably your mom's side. You knew your grandparents are on that side. You knew your cousins, your aunties, your uncles, and your dad's side. More than likely, not all the time, but more than likely, you weren't over there like that. Like you knew of people, but you didn't have probably like deep relationships with people. And it makes sense. The daughter, when she has kids, she's gonna want to be around her mom and her people. You know what I'm saying? And I say all that to say that concerns me that I have 3 sons. So when they get married, their wife is probably gonna be around her mom, and my grandkids are gonna be over there. So that terrifies me. Not terrifies me, but that is something that's always in the back of my mind. So my thing is, whenever they introduce me to somebody that they're interested in, I'm going to be like, "Hey girl, how you doing? It's all good over here. I've been waiting to meet you all these years." You know what I'm saying? Like, not that I'm putting on, but I just feel like you gotta get in early, have a good relationship with her so I can see my grandkids, because that's what it's really about. Now I want them to have a good marriage too, but like, you're not gonna play me. I'm talking about both of them, not just her. And I'm not gonna be able to see my grandkids, and I get to see them like 2 times a year or something. Like, I'm not going for that. You see what I'm saying? So that's my whole thing. So I'm not even gonna be on I gotta interview her and grill her and do all this stuff and make her feel uncomfortable. And I'm not even gonna be on it. Because I feel like I will have deposited enough good seeds and discernment into them that if it's a woman that they're even bringing to me, like, I'm pretty sure she passes the foundational test. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it's going to be something here or there. We all have quirks and things, but I don't think they would bring me somebody that's just so crazy and just their personalities don't match, or they're disrespectful or rude, or so I'm not even worried about that. I'm just worried about making her feel welcome from the first time she meets me, so I can see my grandkids. So but anyway, that was a tangent, so back to it. So Miss Charleasa insists that James talk to. So it was confusing because this obviously was bothering her, and at first she was like, "Oh, it's cool, yeah, it's good," and then it wasn't good. So Miss Charleasa insists that James talks to Aylssia about how she approached her. James says it's over, and he doesn't want to bring it back up. So Miss Charleasa is upset that James will not bring it up. And again, y'all, this just concerned me. I was like, "Miss Charleasa, what's going on, girl?" I hate that she put James in the middle like that. Because when a man is in the middle of, I know Alyssa is his wife, but his wife, girlfriend, and his mom is like he never can win. Somebody's gonna be mad. Um, so I was really disappointed that she would do that. And I will say, I mentioned this a couple shows back. I think James has done a really good job of something that's very difficult for men, and that's toting the line of being respectful to your mother, but also honoring your wife. That's like a thin line. And I thought that James has been doing, because Miss Charlease does a lot. So I think he's been doing a good job of kind of standing up to her, but respectfully so, and still protecting who he's dating. So I think he's done an excellent job with that. But you just hate when moms kind of put their sons in that situation. I think that it is probably easier, or maybe boys have a leg up when there's a father in the home, and maybe they can see how their father deals with his mom, so they can kind of see how that should look and how it's modeled. I think it's really difficult for sons that grow up in single parent houses with their mom only, and so a part of them I just feel like feels indebted. So if maybe they're 23, 24, mama is like, "Yay, can you come fix this faucet?" You know what I'm saying? They're like, "Dang, she sacrificed so much for me. She did this for me. I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for her." So part of them feels indebted as well. And that's why I think as a mom, you have to really try your best not to play on that, or not to guilt your children into coming to save the day for you. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know James's situation. I couldn't read on if Miss Charleisa is married. I can't remember if they mentioned that or not. It's a lot of it too. I feel like, if not even if you're married, definitely if you're married, but even if you're not married, but if you have your own business, and by business I mean like you have hobbies, you're actually living your life, you have friends, you have community, you know what I mean? You shouldn't be that wrapped up in your son or daughter's like love life to that extent. Again, I know this is a show, so it's kind of being forced upon us, but as you can see from what James is saying, this isn't just this because it's the show. Like, she always is like this. Miss Charlize is always like this. So I think she got to get some business about herself. I don't know. You need to get two more hobbies, whatever. But if you got that much time to be in your kids' affairs, personal affairs, you need to get busy. Um, so yeah, I was just very disappointed. Um, so then he sits down. So then they continue to talk about the two dates. Miss Charlisa ends up making it about her again and continues to talk about her that dust up with Aylssia. And she's still upset with James for not defending her more. And I was like, what did Aylssia do? Yeah, I couldn't think. I was just like, what did she do to you exactly? um Not only did she not do anything, I felt like she came so respectfully when she told Miss Charlisa how she was feeling. I mean, she wrote a letter. She talked in a normal tone. I don't know if y'all know some of the women out here, some of the women on these shows, like that could have went left. Like Alicia could have been like, "Yeah, you ain't about to tell me," and da da da. She could have been screaming, yelling, like she was. She sat down the whole time. She looked her in the eye. So I'm like, Alyssa, she didn't do anything to you. Like, you were doing stuff to her and she was defending herself. But it just shows you that she was convicted, is what was happening with Miss Charlisa. She knew she was wrong. Um, and it was just like, I don't know what you're wanting James to do. Like, what is he supposed to do? Like, don't you be talking to my mama? Like, what? I don't know what she was really after. I just think she didn't like Alyssa from day one because that's who he always chooses. That's what this really was about. Um, and like I said, I would never put my sons in position to have to choose me or doing something for me over their wife. Like, it would have to be something so extreme where I would have to be like, hey, come over here and do this for me, or your wife said this about me. Like, I couldn't even imagine myself doing that. Um, so it baffles me when women are so comfortable just continuously putting their sons in these difficult situations. Um, and then too, y'all, it's like another thing, I don't want to stress my kids out. Like, I don't want my kids to have any stress in their lives on account of me or something I'm doing or situations that I'm causing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want that for them. I want them to be happy to share things with me, happy to call me, happy to hang out. So, yeah. So now it's time for the men to make their final decision. So we got Josh, we got James, and in the car ride there to this park or whatever, you can see the juxtaposition between James and his mom and Joshua and his aunt. It was just beautiful imagery that they captured here. So in one car, Auntie Alma, um, and this is how I hope I am again with my son. She is excited. She's laughing. She's having fun. I know you're going to make the right decision. She's affirming him, right? And she's done that throughout the whole time. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they've ever gotten into, they ever got on camera into some, you know, deep argument or anything like that, like the other two. Um, but she was just there to have fun, and that's what it's about. It's like, I'm not here to dominate your process, to dominate your decision and your thinking. I'm just here to affirm you, to have fun. And if you need a little advice, if you need a little guidance, I'm here to give it, but never in a pushy, I'm trying to, take over your life type of way. So I love their relationship, that they were able to show that. She never guilt him into anything. Like I said, the entire time she's always like, oh, I know you're gonna choose the right person. I know you're gonna choose the right person. Just always affirming him and his decision making. And in the end, it's almost like it worked. You know what I'm saying? Versus the moms that were trying to be so domineering and controlling and trying to steer them in a particular direction. When you put in those seeds at an early age, that's what I'm saying, and you just trust it, they normally end up making the right decision in the end. So we had that van, and then the other van or SUV, whatever it was, Miss Charlease again is being over dominant. She wants to control James's thoughts. She's been stirring up the issues with the ladies the whole time, especially Aylssia. And he literally said he's tired and exhausted. That's sad, y'all. He was like, I don't know what else to do. She always does this. And the other thing, y'all, the danger is that sometimes a child will, and if you had kids, I know you know this, intentionally do the opposite of what their parents wish, just to exercise their voice and their freedom. So you see this a lot of times with church kids, people that grew up in the church, and then they like go and they're doing all this crazy stuff. But a lot of times it's because the parents have such a tight stranglehold on them, and you can't do this and you can't that. So when they finally are able to make the decision, sometimes they just want to go against the grain just to say, I'm my own person. Like, you can't tell me what to do, So that's the danger in trying to over control. So, for example, I feel like at this point, James was going to choose Aylssia just to kind of put his foot down, to my point, and say, no, like, you're not controlling me no more, Mom. Like, I'm doing what I want to do. And then because he almost could have felt like, man, if I do choose Sabernet, then my mom's going to feel like she can always manipulate or tell me what to do. He almost probably would have felt like he lost in a sense, even though I feel like Sabernet was the best fit for him. You see what I'm saying? So that's just the danger in that. And then next thing you know, they're making decisions, not because it's truly what they want, but to prove a point to you. You see what I'm saying? Maybe deep down he really did feel like Sabrinae was the right fit. I don't know. But it's like, what's more important that I gotta stick it to my mama, so let me choose. You know what I mean? So it's just a danger in doing that. You definitely have to give your children guide rails. Because don't ever get it twisted, we don't play up in here. But I am learning, okay, um, that I can't control every single thing that at least my oldest son does. All I can do is keep planting seeds, keep planting seeds, keep planting seeds. Like I told y'all, man, in the first grade, they be telling on each other. Do you hear me? Shout out to all of the, I would say second grade and down. Shouts out to y'all because these little kids is crazy. And that's all they do is tell on each other. And I just be like, listen. And that's like the worst thing somebody can do is tell on you, evidently. So, but anyway, just putting seeds into him. Like, it's not the end of the world. Own up to it. Say, yep, I did it. I shouldn't have been playing with my pencil and then it fell out my hand and hit you in the eye. My bad. I was wrong, teacher. I shouldn't have been doing that. So I'm working with him on accountability and, just small things. He's 7, but, by the time he's 18, hopefully that will be so ingrained in him that he can easily accept responsibility when he does wrong because he's not going to be perfect. So anyway, so now it's time for James to make his final decision between Sabernet or so now it's time for James to make his final decision between Sabernet or Alexis. Uh-oh. Did my mic go out? Check, 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 check. What can I hear? Check, check, check. Okay. Okay, so now it's time for James to make his final decision between Sabernet or Aylssia. And it's like, production, why do they have to walk so long? Why was they like in a forest somewhere? Did y'all see that? They were walking for like 10 minutes straight before they got to the point where they were going to meet. So at this point, y'all, I really didn't know who James was going to choose. It was a toss up. I thought that he was going to go with Aylssia just to stick it to his mom because his mom had been getting on his nerves so hard, like right before this all happened. So that was my choice. But I thought that Sabernet fit him the best. Just if you're talking about all the way around. So decision time, and James picks Aylssia. So I was kind of surprised. I know that, of course, he liked her from day one. Again, that's who he would normally, the type of woman he would normally date. But again, like I said, I really do think even more than that, he was trying to make a statement to his mom that she can no longer just run him and run his relationships. I thought he could have had some softer words for Savannah. I'm sorry, y'all. I thought he could have had softer words for Sabernet. He was just like, our personalities don't match at all. And I don't think this relationship would be successful. I was like, dang. Check, check. So, yeah, I was like, dang, that was kind of harsh. But I didn't realize that the woman gets the decision also. So this was a plot twist. And Aylssia actually says no to James. So we got this twice now. So remember Lauren with Chad and now Aylssia with James. I was very surprised. But I was happy that she chose her piece. I was happy about that. She felt judged and hurt by Miss Charlease's words, because if it was something that she could brush off, because it seemed like she really liked James. So it had to be really deep for her to be like, I can't be with him because of her. It had to really be deep not only the things that Miss Charlease was saying, but also how she treated her was messed up. So I was like, wow. And here's the thing, and she probably wasn't even thinking about it this deep, but in my opinion, mother-in-laws that have issues before the marriage are gonna have issues after the marriage. So you think, okay, well, once he chooses me and I'm in the family, then she'll realize I'm here to stay and she'll chill out. And it's like, no, it's always gonna be something. And Miss Charleisa just gives me, if James ever chooses somebody that she doesn't approve of, it's always gonna be something. It's always gonna be something. And I probably watch too many shows, y'all, but Miss Charlize, I can see her being passive aggressive with it. I could see, let's say James chooses somebody, she just doesn't think that person is the one. They get married. She'll be the type that she'll come over their house, right? Let's just say to eat for Thanksgiving or whatever. Then she'll go home and call James like, yeah, I had a good time, but Tanisha, yeah, she ain't speak to me when I came in. She ain't take my jacket. Just trying to start stuff. James would be like, Mama, she was feeding our triplets and walking the dog at the same time. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, I ain't trying to start nothing, but she comes off as one of those type to me. Like, is she gonna have something going all the time? Because I think what it really is about, it's disguised in I want the best for my son and I want to protect my son and I want to make sure he's with the right person. But underneath that, I feel a part of it for women that act this way is I'm losing a part of my son. I'm losing access to my son and I'm upset about it. And so I got to do stuff so that I can always have his attention, no matter what it is about or whatever. I need some attention from him, whether it's positive or negative. Um, and especially once they get married, even more so. That's why, and we all know people that have mother-in-law issues, and that's how it be. That's my opinion, but I just feel like it. But beneath it all, it's like this woman is taking my baby. And I think it's just a tension in them because they want their son to be happy, but it's like, dang, but you taking my access away. Because instead of sitting on the phone talking to me or coming to fix my doorknob, he got to be, wherever with his wife and kids and having his own life, So I think that is something to be said about that whole thing. But hats off to Aylssia again at 25. Just like Lauren, I kind of doubted both of them because they're so young and, you just experience a lot just living. But even so young, they were both able to say, I'm gonna choose my piece. So I love that for them. And I know James was crushed because he really did like Aylssia, like from day one, from Jump Street. So man, let this be a lesson for Miss Charlesia. I hope she's able to watch this show back, just how we're watching it, and see how nasty her attitude was. And just towards James, not nasty, but just kind of combative, unnecessarily combative, and also towards the ladies and specifically Aylssia. So I'm hoping she was able to watch this back and say, ooh, I didn't know that's how I was showing up. I didn't know that's how I was presenting. I thought in my mind I was doing the right things. I want to protect him and I want to make sure, but I didn't know that's how it shows up. So I'm hoping she will be able to watch this and make some changes. And two, for somebody that claims to be, a Christian and, God is so important, I feel like this was a bad representation and it wasn't Christ-like at all. So I'm hoping she's able to see that through this show. And then also let this be a lesson for James. You need to, and I think he said this, because this is what I wrote down. You need to start setting boundaries immediately, like now. That way, when it's time for your next relationship, or you're involved with the next lady, the rules have already been set. Your mom knows what's up. And if she acts out or crosses those boundaries, you're going to have to start restricting access. Like I don't mind bringing my girlfriend around, but if it's going to turn into an interrogation or you finding stuff that's wrong and all that, then I'm gonna cut it off. So something like that. He's gonna have to get some type of boundaries. Or it's gonna cost him a lot more relationships. It seems like it already has in the past. Cost him this one because I definitely think she would have been with him. But she just couldn't do Miss Aylssia, and I don't blame her. Um, so I was proud of him for choosing Aylssia despite what his mom said, because I didn't know how he would do about that. So like I said, he did a great job this season setting boundaries as much as he could with his mom, kind of being respectful, when they would be together and talking. But also defending the ladies. And then he also still chose Aylssia. So I think he's doing a really good job. But then I got confused because I didn't understand why after Aylssia says no, he gets back in the van and he relays that information to his mom, but he never said why Aylssia said no. He never was like, yeah, mom, one of the main reasons was, the dust up she had with you. She just didn't think that you guys would be able to have a good relationship and coexist. And that was pretty much the main reason why she said no. Like, why didn't he tell his mom that? So then that made me think maybe he's not ready. Maybe he is still very protective of her feelings despite his own. And that's a thing too. Sometimes we can be so enmeshed in our relationships with our parents and not even realize it. And you're making, relationships, decisions that go against your own self for the greater good of a parent. And so that's what I caught here. I was like, why aren't you telling her the reason why? Now, unless they cut it out, I don't know why they would have done that. But he just never brought it up. He was like, yep, she said no, but it's okay. And on to the next. And maybe he just couldn't bear to like hurt her in that way or to make her feel guilty. I mean, she's going to see it when she watches it back. But I just thought that was interesting. And again, I just didn't like how Miss Charlease was acting. She was like, yeah, I'm happy. Shoot. And so I don't know. That's gonna be tough, James. Good luck. So then we move on to Joshua. So Joshua has to decide between Tamaris and Chambrel. I thought he would choose Tamaris just because men are visual and it's about the physical at the end of the day. I don't care what nobody say. So I thought he was gonna choose Tamaris because they had been more physical than him and Chambrel. But I do think Chambrel checked all of the boxes, but they hadn't kissed or anything like that. So at being a man, I just figured he just go with Tamaris and figure the rest out later. But he actually chose Chambrel. So I was really, really I was surprised because like I said, I thought he would go for the physical. And I think Tamaris overplayed her hand when he said NFL, dollar signs like came in the middle of her retina, and she started doing too much. And so I think that kind of made something go off in his head. And you see how she was crying at the end because she was like, dang, my millionaire husband, my luxury soft girl lifestyle is all out the window. So she wasn't really crying because of Josh. She was crying because of a lifestyle that she won't be able to have now. That she was never gonna have anyway. I like Josh. You could tell that he was really trying to do something different with this experience. I appreciated that. And he did. Because, like we've discussed, like his brother said, Chambrel is not normally the type of woman he would go for. They weren't physically intimate, probably like he would have wanted and gone for in the past. But this is because this normally doesn't happen on shows. Normally people are who they are and you're going to do what you always do. Just like James, he always dates the Aylssia type. He goes for the Aylssia type. So I was happy that Joshua said, you know what? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do something completely different and I'm going to give it a chance. What's the worst that can happen? It's not like this is one of those shows where you got to get married, like Love is Blind or something. So all you're doing is going to be in a committed relationship. So yeah, so I'm hoping they give us some type of recap or update on where they all are now and what's going on. So that is the show, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with me through 12 episodes. I really have enjoyed reviewing this. I think it was a good concept. I never would have with the thought of it. And I'm hoping they renew it for another season. So it was really good. And I think we learned a lot of cool lessons from it. Um, so the next show I'm going to be doing is Ready to Love, and it comes back out in, they're saying the summer. I thought I heard August something. I looked online, I couldn't find a date, but it's supposed to be coming back out in summer. So make sure you check back for me to do those reviews with you. I love different type of dating shows. I probably wouldn't do a Real Housewives or Love and Marriage Huntsville or something like that because they be stressing me out. I watch it, but it's just too much drama to break down. So I like to stay in the dating show vein because there's so much we can learn from it. So I'm gonna do Ready to Love, and then I'm gonna start coming back out with my mini thoughts with Dr.T episodes. So I took the summer off, coming back in August, and remember I do that every other Friday at 5 p.m. is when I drop those. So I'm gonna be dropping the first one on August 1st, then the 15th, the 29th, and then every other Friday after that. Okay. And then one more thing I wanted to show y'all. When you subscribe, because I know all of y'all are subscribed, right? So when you subscribe, just make sure you click on this bell and make sure there's a check mark beside all. Okay. By default, it's going to have personalized, but make sure you do all. That way, anytime I come with a video and when my videos start dropping again in August, it'll just push it to your phone. It'll pop up on your phone and you'll know that I have one out. Okay. So make sure you guys do that. I feel like I'm in the classroom training or something. But anyway, thank y'all. I appreciate it, the support. I appreciate y'all sitting through these, laughing with me, watching these. Don't forget, you can always comment, and I'll respond. And until then, I'll see you guys in about a month. See ya.